What's up, guys? This is your boy KFB23 on the YT, and today I wanted to switch it up. I got a new camera. If you didn't notice, this is one of the so I have a PC now, so I can make reaction videos on the NBA and still do and talk about the NBA. Like so, this way, I only I talk about every team and not just the Warriors. Like it's a great. So I think this is a W idea. I like watching NBA YouTubers content because it's really good content. Alex Soups, shout out this guy. Like I follow him on Twitter, and I remember when he had like 10K, 5K subs. He well known, very well known. He's,
One of the most
sorry,
unique
he's
bigs
talking
in the
about his
NBA.
Lakers having a secret weapon after they traded Russell Westbrook. They got Jared Vanderbilt. I've watched a lot of Laker games. I watched a lot of them, and I've seen Jared Vanderbilt honestly take over games, like lock down Luka Doncic.
Yay. He's far from the flashiest player, and for the most part, the extent of his scoring game is going to be mostly predicated on camping out in the dunker spot, waiting for dump offs, and operating as a cutter. But his offensive game, when he receives these passes, is where things get a little interesting because he's actually a really good passer, recognizing that this pass creates an advantage with the defense collapsing in on him, which opens up the pass to Austin Reeves on the weak side for an open look from deep. Despite being a big, he can bring the ball.
That Warriors game, I watched that game, and I promise you, Jared Vanderbilt for like 3 quarters was the first half was very impactful. Like they went on 30, it was 30-15 at the end of the first quarter. Bro, I promise you, he was everywhere. Like Klay Thompson was the only one I can confidently say that was scoring consistently, not consistently, decently enough on Jared Vanderbilt that night. Like legit, bro was out there, and he's a great player that the Lakers got.
Bamba is going to be. He can show exactly what it means to turn defense into easy offense with his hustle disrupting the handoff between Hardaway Jr. and Luka, and he's able to snag the ball before going out of bounds, throwing an unreal behind the head pass to Troy Brown Jr. for the slam. His transition passing is something he's already leveraging with LA, but even in the half court, he's proven that he's capable of making.
Okay, my supposed video legit in that third quarter in Dallas versus the Lakers, bro. I'm just gonna say this right now. He confidently, and I mean, he was the best player on that court for that third quarter. It was Kyrie out there, Luca, LeBron, 80, and I'm telling you, Jared Vanderbilt was the best player on that court that third quarter. That's it. Everything else, legit. He had Legend of Winning. Like if you know what Legend is, he had that man on Twitter saying Luca stopper, because bro, he was everywhere. That legit. If he wasn't there, that 27-point comeback is not happening.
What Jared Vanderbilt lacks in pure skill, he makes up for with incredible feel, particularly as a cutter. When Schroeder drives, Draymond is going to be the help man, which means that Steph is the one who's now responsible for guarding Vando. Steph doesn't do a great job of keeping track of him, with Vando doing his best impression of a defensive lineman trying to get around the O line, giving Schroeder a bailout option, which leads to the slam. Schroeder brings the ball up, and the Lakers usually keep AD up around the nail as opposed to down low, which forces Gobert to play up high on him. Lonnie Walker is also rotating over to the weak side, pulling Edwards along with him. Schroeder gets Torian Prince into a recovery stance on the drive, which forces Conley to turn and contemplate stunning on Schroeder's drive. And Vando uses this lack of attention to make the backdoor cut to get some of the easiest 2 points that you're ever going to see. When you can't rely on what you're able to do with the ball, you have to figure out how to make up for it without the ball. And I'd argue that there aren't any role playing bigs in the entire NBA that do it as well as Jared Vanderbilt does.
This is not disrespect to Jared Vanderbilt. He plays like Gary Payton second. I ain't gonna lie. He's like a 6'9" version of GP2. Legit, offensively is very limited. Legit, most of his points are coming off of cuts off of what a superstar can make off of that read. Because he's gonna be the dunker spot. He can hit layups. He's tall enough to just dunk on anybody. Really, honestly. And also his defensively, out of this world. So often, and legit teams don't plan, just leave him open. Teams just leave him open, and more often than not, that's not really the best decision to make because, as you said, he is a great passer, not a great passer, but a decent passer. So when he's on this double team, somebody has to be open, and he's good enough to make that read. So it's not the best option to leave Jared Vanderbilt. This sometimes he is somewhat a liability. I think that's why they sat him in like the fourth quarter in one of those games. I forgot what game that was, but he had to sit down in the fourth. He didn't play much of that quarter because offensively they needed 80 to score because LeBron wasn't there.
We saw some of that versatility on display in their win against the Mavericks, with Vando being the primary defender against Luka Doncic. Vando is already trying to jump the passing lane to disrupt this feed from Hardaway, making Luka uncomfortable right off the bat. Now, for a lot of players, playing a passing lane this aggressively can lead to getting left in the dust once the ball handler decides to attack. But Vanderbilt has such impressive lateral quickness that he's still able to stay with Luka and shut down the drive. Even when Luka stops to try and get into a step back, Vando decelerates quickly enough to still contest the shot, helping to force the miss. He picks Luka up at full court.
Jared Vanderbilt and Anthony Davis in that also this game. Christian Wood in the second half was, I ain't gonna lie, that man's been torture. Legit, Christian Wood had a ball. I remember one of these possessions. Christian Wood had a ball in his hands after a miss. Anthony Davis got it up. He legit both contested his shot. I think Anthony's got the block, but legit. Jared Vanderbilt and Anthony both got that contest, like legit. Let me stop saying legit real quick. That defensive core with Anthony Davis and Jared Vanderbilt is probably a really like LeBron. I don't know if LeBron plays defense like that anymore, but Jared Vanderbilt and Anthony Davis, like that's a tough backcourt. When Lakers fans were saying Andre Drummond and Anthony Davis would be a good backcourt pairing, no, they should have been talking about Jared Vanderbilt. Jared Vanderbilt and Anthony Davis defensively when on the court are probably one of the best. Depending on what unit you got, probably one of the best defensive units on the court. I ain't gonna lie.
His ability to recover after getting beat on closeouts is really strong. When Josh Green gets the ball in the corner, Vanderbilt makes the closeout to prevent the shot and baseline drive. Josh Green attacks his front foot, putting Vando in a disadvantaged situation. But what Vando does is really unique. He spins in the opposite direction instead of trying to make a difficult 180-degree hip rotation, making it to where he's in stride with Green while he gets to the basket instead of behind him. He shuts down any shot at the rim and then provides AD with help.
This is the play I'm talking about. Right here, this play right here was the shot I'm talking about, bro. He could not do anything. Imagine trying to take an easy layup. Like you don't get an easy layup. Anthony Davis and Jared Vanderbilt are both on you, double teaming you. There's nothing you can do at this point. I like in real time saying just throw it up. It's not going in regardless.
To force the miss and get the rebound. This was a really risky way to recover because Josh Green could have simply stopped or done a snatchback, and Vanderbilt would have been left looking for him. But given how strong of defensive instincts Jared Vanderbilt has,
not that guy. Offensively, defensively, the best defender on the Dallas Mavericks right now. So
entirely possible that he knew it was unlikely that Josh Green would be able to process something like that in time in order to pull off a difficult move like that. His versatility makes guarding pick and rolls an area where he's able to make a lot of money. The Lakers were opting to hedge against Dallas's pick and rolls, with AD coming to meet Luka at the three-point line. And when you look at how the defense is set up here, you might think that Luka has a pretty clear pocket pass to Powell on the roll. I'd argue that this is almost intentional, with the Lakers wanting to give the impression that the pass is available, only so Vanderbilt can be there to jump the passing lane and disrupt the pass to force the turnover. His presence when guarding pick and rolls may not always appear in the most obvious of ways, with it looking like Luka has a clear feed to Dwight on the roll, but we've seen that Vanderbilt can use his 7'1" wingspan to disrupt a feed like that, so Luka opts instead to drive, and Vando is there to contest the shot and help clean up the rebound. I think a good way to summarize a lot of what Jared Vanderbilt does for the defense from a team perspective is he helps hide a lot of mistakes and prevent them from happening in situations
also,
where there's
the Lakers 3-point, like when teams shooting like this Dallas Mavericks game, the Dallas Mavericks literally all they could do was shoot threes. The paint was on lock, and then after that, if you can't score in the paint after a while, sooner or later your shots are not going to fall because percentages wise, it's not going to fall the entire game. So then when the Dallas Mavericks shot like 60%, and then they literally and the shots weren't falling as consistent as they were in the second quarter, the effect that paint presence of Jared Vanderbilt and Anthony Davis legit they couldn't get anything off. Kyrie Irving was struggling. If it wasn't a jump shot, a contested two, or a somewhat open, a slightly early three, it was nothing. Nothing. That's a 2K term right there.
Potential for error. The Mavericks actually come close to generating a good look at the rim here, with Green feeding Powell in the high post before screening for Hardaway to cut to the basket. But you can see that Vando shows just enough to deter the pass, forcing the Mavericks to instead go to the DHO between Powell and Green, leading to a turnover.
Also, that's Luka Doncic in the corner. Luka Doncic is not taking. I'm not gonna lie. I would mainly help with Kyrie driving to the rim than Luka Doncic turnover. Jared Vanderbilt, his biggest role on this team is probably let LeBron be LeBron offensively, because if LeBron takes less time playing defense and can focus most of his energy playing offense, like a 38-year-old cannot play. LeBron plays 3 quarters of basketball, not really trying. And the more defense they have, just like Jared Vanderbilt taking most of his matchups now, because it was either Troy Brown Jr. or it was Rui Hachimura. Like Troy Brown Jr. is a good defender. Rui Hachimura, but that's probably his biggest responsibility. Like if D'Lo leaves next year and Malik Beasley leave next year, and they somewhat get Kyrie like legit. Right now, the biggest piece they need to get next year is Jared Vanderbilt. If D'Lo can leave, if you get Kyrie, it's fine. If you leave, Malik Beasley is somewhat of a necessity, somewhat. Because if Kyrie's there, there's no way he's taking that many shots.
You're offered more room for mistakes with Vanderbilt helping to cover for you on the defensive end, and he can be both a cleanup guy and a focal point of your defense. But there's this misconception that Vanderbilt is a non-factor on the offensive end. I'm going to disagree with that. While he's limited, I don't think it's fair to say he's any sort of detriment. One of the most important things that Jared Vanderbilt brings to the table is his offensive rebounding. Simply extending your possessions and getting you extra opportunities is valuable on its own, and Vanderbilt does a ton of that. His positioning when trying to sniff out offensive rebounds is Dennis Rodman-esque, tracking the ball where it's going to hit the goal and figuring out where he can weasel his way in there to snag the board. On this possession,
yeah. But legit, in that Warriors game that I was watching, oh my God, the small ball Warriors, when Kevin Looney was off the court, Jared Vanderbilt himself got like 4 offensive rebounds. It was sick. As a Warriors fan, I was sick. Like nobody's gonna get rebound. It's gonna be the Jared Vanderbilt show. Like Anthony Davis is gonna keep taking these shots over and over and over, and Jared rebounds like grab that rebound. Oh, right here. Oh, another one. Another one. It was a tough game. But like he's a great rebounder.
And Dennis Schroeder puts up an early 3 on the shot clock, and the Mavericks are just assuming that nobody's going to crash the glass, but Vanderbilt does exactly that, working his way past multiple defenders to grab the board and draw the foul to get to the line. He's in the corner when Troy Brown Jr. takes this spot up 3, and he knows to fill this middle area of the paint, and he's able to snag a rebound, which ultimately leads to the jump ball. The fact that he can play cleanup for AD is huge, especially when defenses are falling asleep like the Mavericks were during this game. Vanderbilt can use that athleticism and length to get some easy putbacks like he does here. Jared Vanderbilt is another example of a player who, yeah, they don't put up the most impressive stats in the world, but that doesn't mean that they're not good, and that doesn't mean that they're not valuable. Jared Vanderbilt has already proved how valuable of a player he is to them. And as a matter of fact, Anthony Davis and Jared Vanderbilt have been the best defensive front court in the
I called it out there. Anthony Davis, Jared Vanderbilt, offensively, probably not all that impressive, but bro, it's on the screen right now. It's a Uso penitentiary.
Entire NBA since the trade deadline, allowing only 99.7 points per 100 possessions. It really sucks that all of these injuries arose pretty much immediately after the Lakers traded for him, because he's only going to be able to be maximized to his fullest potential when the Lakers are fully healthy.
That guy, but LeBron is still out, so he's still doing his job.
maybe this stretch where he's going to see an increased role is going to be a good opportunity for him to develop some of the other areas of his game. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing and leaving a like.
And congrats, Alex Hoops, on liking this video. This is a great video. That's pretty much it. I'm KFB23 on the YT. I'm KFB on the YT. And this right here is a great video. And that's pretty much it. I'm out. Peace.